It seems extraordinary that there's nothing that the coronavirus doesn't touch.
All the Black Lives Matter demonstrations.
Oppression is brought out.
So unfortunately, because I just feel like we're going down this road, we've been down this road before.
Like we've had
Hello and welcome to Your Voice. My name is Gabriel Reader and today we'll be unpacking a topic I've been looking forward to for some time. On this week's Your Voice, we'll be discussing why jollof rice is and always will be better than rice and peas. I'm only joking there. Happy April 1st to everyone. This week we'll be discussing the globalization of Afrobeats and dancehall. We'll be shuffling back over the history of both the genres, freestyling on your favorite parts of the culture and also doing the legwork as we look forward to what the future may hold for both Afrobeats and dancehall. Here to discuss with me this week are three gentlemen who know the music industry inside and out. DJ Fifi, writer and performer Tubada, and DJ and presenter Mr. Hooley. Thank you all for joining me. So I'm going to you, DJ Fifi. So, you know, the formation of Afrobeats, was it something that was deliberate, or did it just happen in the sense that did they just stumble across the sound and then the name came later? Because the reason why I asked that question, because before Afrobeats, there was Afrobeats. And when Afrobeats came on the scene, a lot of people were saying it's nothing like Afrobeat. So was it a case of the sound emerged and then they had to find a name for it? Or was it the other way around, where people deliberately created a new African sound and deliberately called it Afrobeats?
I think that's quite debatable, right? Because I don't think it was deliberately created to call it Afrobeats,
right?
Because
okay.
The sound was there already.
Right.
Obviously, people were creating Afro pop music from before. So I think when it started getting more popular and you started getting a bit into the commercial side of it, that's when I think people just thought, let's just call it Afrobeat because Afrobeat existed already from fella days.
Right.
So I don't think it was a deliberate thing because the sound was there already.
Right. Okay. So Tubada, dancehall music has always been described as a sparse version of reggae when it first came out in the 70s. Would you say that is the case? Is that a true definition in today's version of dancehall?
So there's always been two sides to reggae. So there's always been like the more culture side that would more be sung by the elders, and then there's always been like the younger party side, which we would call the dancehall.
Right.
So I think the two have always existed alongside each other, and generations will normally, the younger generation will carry that one and the elders will carry that one. So they've always existed amongst each other.
Right, okay, good. So Mr. Hooley, how important was the sound systems and the DJs in the sort of evolution and the creation of dancehall?
I think with regards to the sound systems, they were such a massive part of the sound of dancehall. I'm going back to the beginning of ragga and reggae, and I mean, like with the dancehall itself, it's more a feeling. It's more than the music. It's always been more than the music. It's dancehall is the food. Dancehall is the lyrics. Dancehall is the vibe. Dancehall is the whole energy. So I think it's really important that we've had like the sound system culture,
right,
to just promote and champion that all the way through.
Right, okay, good stuff. So before I find out more about what my studio guests make of the global rise of Afrobeats, I'd like to share with you a conversation I had earlier with DJ Cynthia MVP.
I wouldn't say taking over. I believe that's not the correct term I'd use. I would just say Afrobeats is currently being recognized. There was a time when dancehall was being recognized, so it was what everyone was listening to, everyone was dancing to, was being played in venues and clubs. But right now, Afrobeats is growing, so people are more attracted to that genre. But at the same time, I do feel dancehall still has its own space, as it's a different genre, and so does Afrobeats. I do feel Afrobeats definitely has already given birth to subgenres. We can see that, like when you look at NSG are still they consider themselves Afrobeat artists. We have things like Afro drill, Afro swing, Afro trap. You know, there's Afro bashment. So I do feel like the subgenres have definitely started, and they've been in place for a while now. If you look at the Afro drill scene, for example, in Ghana, you have songs like Soiree and the remix that Stormzy has just jumped on. So it's definitely extending, and I feel like those subgenres will allow for a lot more collaboration, especially with other international acts and international countries. So I do feel like the subgenres are definitely in place and they're growing stronger.
So too bad. The question I asked her there was, is Afrobeat now taking over from dancehall in terms of dance floor fillers? I remember when I was a young man and I used to go out raving, I used to wait for the dance hall. Because if you had to want to dance with a girl, you had to wait for the dance hall.
And they would play the different genres,
so
you was waiting for that bit to get your scrub on.
So now it's slightly changed. Dance hall is taking over that position. What are your thoughts? Is it really?
I wouldn't say taking over, I'd say getting it shine.
Right.
You're getting your shine now. You've been there for the whole time, as long as we've known.
Right.
And it just hasn't been promoted. So certain celebrities, like was mentioned in the little video there, certain celebrities have helped to promote it and bring it to a place now where it's more recognized. Hip hop went through the same thing. Bashment went through the same thing. You'll find most popular culture musics will go through a stage of recognition and then that global kind of like, so globalisation.
Yeah. So Afrobeats, well, dancehall actually, when sound clashes was a big thing. Why was that so important in the sort of evolution of the culture where people had to actually do sound clashes and people just wanted to go and watch? Because in Afrobeats it's slightly different. We don't have these sound clashes, or we're starting to probably kind of warm up to the idea. But with dancehall, sound clash was like part of it. Why was that?
So I mean, with dancehall, you've got a massive, what they call a dub culture.
Yes.
So it was the sound systems back in the 80s, back in the 70s, and it's all about your identity within dancehall. So you had a dub plate, and that was your identity. But you started to have a lot of these sound systems, then the DJs, they used to have, by their identity, it started to become okay, well, my dub is better than your dub.
Right.
Or I've got the better connects than you with the artist them, and do you know what I mean? So then they just started to, it was, well, my sound's the best sound in this area. Guess what? We're gonna come together.
They're area based.
It was more areas as well.
And I think it was about the speakers as well. Who's got the loudest speakers?
It was also about the loudest sound system.
Yeah.
So I mean, if I had a sound system and you had a sound system, and we go to a venue and we come in here and we string up, and I want my bass line to be making the whole building tremble. But your bass line might not be able to do that. So it was also, it was the sound of the speaker.
So Fifi, why doesn't Afrobeats have dub plates like dancehall do? Because for DJs, it's a good idea, right? Where you have like a special little dub plate done for you and you just want to play that out properly. What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't know about other DJs, but I've got dub plates. I've got Afrobeat dub plates.
Okay. And so is there, but okay, you might have a dub plate, which is fair enough, but is there a culture that
that's the thing. There isn't a culture for it. Yes. So it's more of a drop jingle, or this is Patarankin and I'm listening. You're listening to.
But drops are not dub plates.
They're not dub plates, but that's what we have.
Okay, that's what we have.
Yeah, that's what. So there's no culture for it.
Right. Okay.
It's not like the dancehall. How?
Why don't you think there's a culture for it though? Why? What's your take? What's your view of that?
It's just never been our thing, really. To begin with.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it hasn't really been our thing. It's just now that let's say artists that understand the what do you call the sound clash.
The sound
the artists that understand that, they're now beginning to, and it's now it's beginning to be a form of to promote their song as well.
Right.
If they want you to play their song, they'll do a dub for you, mention your name, and because of that, you will play it.
And another thing I noticed with dancehall compared to Afrobeats is that you had rhythms. Afrobeats doesn't have like a rhythm that people just jump on and you just do your own rhythm and who comes out who comes out like the best rhythm is like that's the one guy.
That is quite unique to dancehall, reggae, Jamaica in general. Like a producer will produce one rhythm, and like 15 artists will all do their version of that rhythm. I think it's to do with the way those songs are played, because they're played in like a juggling fashion where like I might only give you 30 seconds of this.
Yeah, tease.
But play all 10 of them. You know, like way there, all 10 of them. So I think it's the style of the playing of the music which kind of determines how the songs are recorded in certain respects. Obviously you've got all other aspects of it as well. But I think it's something to do with that.
So Fifi, DJ Cynthia MVP was talking about the subgenres that are emerging from Afrobeats. Is it time that we start recognizing them as on their own, or because you know we have that umbrella term of Afrobeats? The person who's just been introduced to Afrobeats, for instance, Afro drill, Afro wave, Afro swing, all these things don't mean anything to them. They just put it under the umbrella of Afrobeats. Is it now time for us to now kind of start separating them that, look, this is Afro drill, this is Afro swing?
With me, it's always been anything that's African influenced is Afrobeats.
Right.
So if those, let's say hip hop artists from like Nigeria, let's say Vector's got a track which is hip hop, and he's spitting in Yoruba, that's still I classed it as Afrobeats. So I think whether it's Afro drill, Afro swing, and all of that, all still comes under Afrobeats. Because if I'm playing an Afrobeat set now, I will drop a drill tune. I might drop a NSG tune. So I think it's still under.
You make a very good point, and we're going to have to kind of try and unpack that shortly, because how do you determine what an African influence sound is? But we need to take a break now. So we're going to take a short break now, but please join us again for part 2, when we'll be taking a more in-depth look at some of the artists that have emerged within these scenes and help bring the music to the masses worldwide. See you soon.
It's here. The 4-track EP from MC Fizzy, Black Champagne, featuring tracks done out here. Fiasco. And the track featured on the DMX mixtape, Get It, and more. Got something to humble you and make you somersault. Available on all platforms from Friday, 16th of April.
New Cif Anti-Bac and Shine kills 99.9% of bacteria and viruses, including coronavirus, and is made with a 100% naturally derived cleaning agent, helping to keep your home safe for the whole family. Cif, hello beautiful.
They said it could never be done, that plant-based food will always taste like plants. They said even your name makes no sense, and we must sacrifice it all. The vegetarian butcher says, sacrifice nothing.
Heard about GoDaddy domain names? Go to GoDaddy to buy a dream domain name from 99p with GoDaddy.
Tax calculations.
A nightmare, obviously.
Obviously. In what world would she ever have to worry about her taxes? Numbers.
It's all good. It's been taken care of.
Thanks, adorable, teeny tiny, hard-nosed QuickBooks people.
Taking care of taxes so you can sleep at night and do it QuickBooks.
Lovely people. I colour my hair because it makes me feel super fresh, and I've been using the Tresemme Colour Revitalize. Boom! It makes my hair look vibrant, professional quality, but without the price.
Tresemme, professional quality for your salon at home.
Tresemme Colour Revitalize. Available at Tesco.
Welcome back to Your Voice with me, Gabriel Renu, where today we're discussing the meteoric rise of the Afrobeats and dancehall music genres on the global stage. But before we get into it, the main discussion earlier, I spoke to comedian, presenter, and Afrobeats enthusiast, Eddie Caddy. Here's what he had to say.
There are definitely cultural similarities because it's the same culture. You know, we're just influenced by different regions. different upbringings, you know, and there are different cultures that have come into both sides of these siblings, as I like to call it. You know, the guys in the Caribbean and those in the motherland are from the same mother, you know, and you can tell from the percussion that we like to use in our beats. Even these dance moves that you will look at certain dance moves, you think they're different, but actually they're a lot more similar than you think, because all of that is to do with dancing. It's to do with fluidity. You know, it's to do with therapy. It's to do with partying. Like that's what it comes down to. Even the slower dancehall or Afrobeat songs are still there to make you feel good. That's really the main agenda. It's not really there talking about. It doesn't really come down to killing all the time. Like it's not. It's really just about like life and happiness. So definitely there are similarities. In terms of dancehall artists, I have to say, you know, even though we had the likes of Shaggy from when I was growing up, you know, Shaggy was a mainstay in mainstream music. But the person that really took it there, I remember my first year at university, it was Sean Paul. I mean, Sean Paul was the guy that was able to collaborate with every type of artist, you know, all the way down to Beyonce, you know, to Akon. Like literally, there was no stopping him. He had everybody dancing to dance. So regardless of whether you could dance or not, or you was a connoisseur in the genre, Sean Paul was the guy. They called him the hook guy. There was no hook without Sean Paul. That's for sure when it comes to dancehall, and his music is still relevant till now. And when it comes to Afrobeats, you know, we went through a phase, especially with this contemporary modern day Afrobeats. When you of course you talk about the Fela Kutis of the world, you know, they had their great moments. You know, they were known globally and were doing amazing stuff with the genre of Afrobeats. But I think now the generation of the new artists that come through, I know Fuse ODG, when he picked it up and fused it with the UK sound and the pop sound, that was able to also go global with the Azonto song. It facilitated for so many people. We had dribs and drabs with other artists that started to really push it. But I think for me, I remember when Antenna went global and it became a dance phenomenon. That's when, you know, dancers even had the opportunity to make it their own. You know, so I know that within the UK, when we started touring the UK with Afrobeats, was because of Fuse ODG, and he was able to take that globally and started collaborating with people like Wycliffe, you know, the Sean Pauls of this world, as a matter of fact, and that didn't really slow down. And of course, you know, the Wizkids and the Davidos are now carrying the mantles and the Burna Boys. And I think we underestimated what it meant to be African. You know, Africa and the African culture is a mainstay in every culture. It just wasn't something that was popularized, you know? So when I was able to talk about my culture, it's something that people already knew about. Maybe people may have pretended it didn't, because it's almost like, okay, no one's talking about it, so therefore it doesn't exist. And then we just needed the music to come for us to understand that actually it does exist. I've always danced to African music. That's what made me so unique and so special in my jokes. I've never needed to set anything up. If anything, it just increased interest, you know? And right now, I think the things, how we talk about culture has also facilitated how the music has been consumed as well. Do you understand? When we talk about the accents and the historical parts of the Nelson Mandelas of this world, when we talk about the food, all these things were consumed long before the modern day Afrobeats genre started to get consumed. So I don't think there's been any changes, and I think we have to be very careful in underestimating what our culture meant before the modern day pop African music started to travel.
Still with me in the studio, I have DJ Fifi, Mr. Hooli, and Tubada. So, Mr. Hooli, are there cultural similarities between dancehall and Afrobeats?
I definitely think there are cultural similarities.
Which ones jump at you?
I mean, everything from the dancing, the sound, the beat. I feel like, and the people as well. I know that there has been a time where it's either been Afrobeat or it has been dancehall.
Right.
But I feel like I feel like times are changing. I feel like there's a lot of merging going on, especially because of the sound influence in like UK music. And we've got the sound and we've got the fusion going on. And I mean, even like with my show, I get so many people that listen to me across Africa. I get African dancehall artists that kind of get in touch with me, and they're making music, and the sound is dancehall, but you can see that it's very, very Afrobeat influenced. So I feel like there's definitely a merge going on.
Okay.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So Too Bad. Who would you say were the sort of dancehall artists who brought that sound to a mainstream audience? I remember who it was for me, but I want to hear yours.
Yeah, see, so I remember like way back, I remember Shabba Ranks.
Oh, you got me there. That's it. Shabba was the guy.
Shabba bust through that barrier
Yeah, man, definitely.
and brought this kind of, this side of the dance. Because remember, Bob Marley already had like that side of it out there.
But Too Bad, there were people out there, the older people who were doing it before Shabba came on the scene, they looked at him and they said his sound was not necessarily dancehall because he was fusing his sound with the hip hop and the American sound.
He was ahead of his time.
Right.
So for his time, he was already trying to blend the sounds and doing this fusion, what we're talking about.
Right.
He was already on that from then. So I think that's why he was so groundbreaking. And he opened the doors for like the Sean Pauls and the Beanie Mans and the Grammy Awards to be won. Those doors all got kicked open early. So, but what I'd say, going back to what you were saying before to Julio, like, we're all children of the diaspora.
Absolutely.
All spread out all over the world. That sound went with us everywhere we went.
Yeah.
So the fact that we're hearing similarities in it, we all come from the same place.
Yes.
When I was in Ghana, every taxi I got in was playing reggae music and Bob Marley and Beres and not saying I was.
There's a huge expat community.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's not like I was shocked, but I just expected to hear more African music when I was in Ghana.
Of course.
So like, it was beautiful to see that connection was still so strong there musically. So we're all from the same place. So,
That's very interesting because most of the popular radio shows in Ghana are reggae shows.
Right. Look at that. Look at that. It's
It's very educational. The people, the presenters, they do a lot of research and like talk about Marcus Garvey and like it's very educational. So they got a lot of listeners.
Right. So before the break, DJ Fifi, you made a statement where you talked about anything that's got an African element, sound is you consider it Afrobeat. So how do you determine that?
A beginning, especially, let's say the one of the first subgenres of Afrobeats or Afrobeats influence was Afro swing, and I was one of those DJs. Like, I'm not going to play that because it's not Afrobeaty.
But how did you work it out that this is not Afrobeat?
It was just the sound, like the percussions, and
it sounded a bit wishy-washy.
not like, do you know what I mean? It was more kind of like westernized type of thing.
Not as authentic.
Not as authentic.
It's a bit like what Shabba was going through.
Exactly.
You
know what I mean? So
yeah.
I was just like, I'm not going to play it. But then again, it opened a lot of doors for a lot of the African artists. Do you know what I mean? Like what Too Bad was saying that, or what you said about Shabba, people criticizing because he was adding the hip hop element and all of that. But whenever he went abroad for a show, they said he was from Jamaica. They didn't say Shabba, the Shabba that was adding hip hop to dancehall. So it's pretty much the same.
Right.
Are we gonna say that because it's and a lot of producers that done all these Afro swing tracks are coming out to say they were influenced by a certain track, Afrobeats, yeah.
But there's a lot of cross-pollination between Afrobeats and dancehall, though, because you have a lot of artists working together. And how do they choose what sound to go with? Because I know you've got like Chronix working with Wizkid and Burna Boy. So how do you determine or do you just fuse both and just hope that people just kind of gravitate?
I think with someone like Chronix, he's very special and he's very niche. He's reggae, so you can't take an Afrobeat track to Chronix. If you're gonna go to Chronix, you have to take a sound that
he knows. Right.
Yeah, you can't take like 110 BPM track to Chronix.
What's your take on that?
Yeah, no, there's different artists. Yeah, so there'll be artists where it works that way, and there'll be artists where like maybe the producer would like
Yeah.
set
I
the
definitely
groove.
agree with
Yeah,
that.
the producer would set the groove.
Right.
100%.
Build a track that has both elements in it, thinking of them in mind. 'Cause,
Right.
Like I know producers, they will make music of thinking of an artist.
Right.
So if a producer's kind of setting the pace, then that would leave it for the artist then to now bring your both flavors.
But
to
it
the
also
track.
but it also boils down to the reasons why you're jumping on a track. Because if you're an artist and you see that the Afrobeats is the way forward, you want to jump on an Afrobeats track because your direction of travel is Afrobeats. Whereas if it's just you just want to kind of work together just to feel the chemistry and you're kind of reaching middle ground, it's a different sound you're kind of working.
This is why we're very similar, because it all comes down to the music, whether it's Afrobeat or a dancehall rhythm. Because back in the day, there was a lot of Ghanaian artists that was jumping on like overproof rhythm.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? All of them rhythms and all of that, and then we had BZ Signal and that jumping on the Afrobeats rhythms, and so it just shows that we're all one. Like
I
it's
think
just
even like with us all being one, I feel like it's not just globalization. I feel like it's cultural globalization because it's the Caribbean culture and the African culture. So it's not just dancehall and Afrobeats, it's the globalization of our cultures.
Hold that thought, because globalization is what we're talking about. That's the end of part 2. Join us after the break, where we'll be taking a closer look at the growth of the genres and the subsequent evolution of their subgenres. See you soon.
Hello, I'm Dr. Appiah. The last few months have been difficult for all of us, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. With our kids going back to school, we can start to get life moving again. However, we still need to be careful to stop the spread of the virus. Around 1 in 3 people who have COVID-19 have no symptoms and could be spreading it without knowing. Regular, rapid COVID-19 testing is a fast and easy way to find out if you have coronavirus, so you don't spread it without realizing. By regular testing twice a week, you can help stop the virus, keep your family, friends, and community safer, and help nurseries, schools, and colleges stay open. It's recommended that parents and support bubbles of nursery, school children, and college students take regular tests. The tests are free and easy to do, with results in around 30 minutes. They are easy to get. You can collect a test from your local test sites, order online to test at home, or get tested at work if your employer offers it.
Want a huge 120 gig for a teeny 20 pounds per month? This 5G ready SIM is the biggest, smallest thing to happen to your phone. Make any phone punch above its weight by connecting it to EE, the UK's #1 network, 7 years running. So get our smallest, biggest SIM-only deal, a whopping 120 gig for just 20 pounds per month, online or over the phone. That's kind of a big deal.
Taking care of business, tax, payroll, and cash flow. Taking care of finance stuff, into it QuickBooks.
At Harry's, we try to do things a little differently, like giving you a great shave for a fair price. For just $3.95, you'll receive a 5-blade razor with lubricating strip and precision trimmer, along with aloe-enriched shave gel and a travel blade cover. Everything you need for a smooth and comfortable shave, with a full refund if you're not completely satisfied. Get started with a $3.95 trial set at harrys.com.
Sure Advanced Protection offers you double the protection at 72 hours, outlasting the leading antiperspirant and giving you the confidence you need to take on every challenge. Our best ever protection in an aerosol. Sure Advanced Protection, it won't let you down.
USwitch customers can now switch energy in as little as 1 click. What you do while you switch, well, it's up to you.
Visit uswitch.com.
Hello and welcome back to Your Voice. I'm Gabriel Reno, and this week we're looking into the Afrobeats and dancehall's claim for a place on the global stage. But before we get into the chat for this part, I want to share with you a conversation I had earlier with artist Pato Rankin. Here's his take on the subject and how he defines his own unique sound.
I would speak as Pato Rankin. I don't want to be boxed to one type of sound. I don't want to be limited to one kind of vibe. I can do all type of genre. You know, over the years, I've gotten to realize that I'm a big lover of music. So me loving music means I can wake up and tomorrow is grime, today is Fuji. You know, I just want to make music in as much as I'm passing the message. So I don't think it's not possible. It's very, very possible. For me as Pato Rankin, which is what I do Afrobeat and I do dancehall. If I have to describe my album, 3, I would say it's exactly what we're talking about. It's a sound of different flavors. You would hear from Afrobeats to Afro dancehall to dancehall music, you know, to even pop music as well. You know, we just want to make music, you know, and in as much as we can pass that message, irrespective of the genre, we just want to make music. So I would say the album 3 has all the flavors you could think of music, you know, but it's still African though. For a fact that the brand Pato Rankin stand for more than just music, you know. It is good for a brand like Forbes to actually talk about that, you know, and I think it's a very good look.
That was artist Pato Rankin there, a guy who certainly knows his music. And speaking of guys who know their music, please welcome back DJ Fifi, Mr. Hooli, and Tu Bada. So DJ Fifi, a lot of artists from an African descent actually draw a lot of inspiration from dancehall artists, but they're now being considered, you know, more Afrobeats artists now. But, you know, is there a lot of cross-pollination from both sides, like from dancehall and, you know, are there a lot of dancehall artists who are jumping, not doing a lot of Afrobeat sounds or vice versa?
No, I think, let's say someone like Wizkid, we can tell Wizkid is he's a sound man, he loves reggae, he loves dancehall. You can tell from some of the lyrics he churns in like the
But
patois.
isn't that an evolution? Because the Wizkid that started off his genre wasn't that, but he's evolved into that space though.
Yeah, I mean, I've had conversations with Wiz, and obviously not like recorded anything,
sure.
But that's some of his influences when he was growing up, the sounds that he was listening to.
Okay.
So I think that's where it's not cross-pollination, but it's what he grew up listening to and what he feels comfortable expressing himself when he's doing music.
Right, okay. So do you feel like there are artists out there in the dancehall scene who are now embracing the whole Afrobeats music that you know of? Or?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think now just the world's opened up a lot more in general. So communications, musics are getting flung back and forth now. So yeah, a lot of people want to try new things now. Yeah. So I think it's just a natural progression now.
Yeah. So you're a recording artist. Would you do an Afrobeat song?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So but was there any sort of prerequisites before you could say, okay, this beat, I like this beat? Is there something you need to hear in a beat?
I think it'll be more the artist. I think it'll be more who I'll be working with kind of thing. So like, Burner Boy, get at me. Get at me, Burner. But no, and then producer-wise, as long as the beat, for me, as long as that beat does that thing, you know that thing where you can't keep still, as long as it does that, then I can kind of work with whatever. If it's a drill beat that does that, if it's an Afro beats that does that, it's all about the jerk that it gives you, kind of thing. That's what it's all about. It's all about the jerk. Isn't it?
It's the jerk, Mr. Hooli. We're not talking jerk chicken.
We're talking about the jerk.
So, but, you know, how can you tell? Because you see, when you look at dancehall of the 70s and dancehall today, how can you tell when a genre is actually evolving or when a genre is creating a subgenre? Because you see, dancehall of the 70s is not the dancehall we hear today. You know, but within dancehall, I believe there are subgenres, right? How can you tell the difference when it's actually just naturally evolving? So what you hear today in terms of dancehall is slightly different to what you heard in the 70s, and when dancehall has now created a new subgenre within that space.
I think the sound of dancehall has changed, but I don't feel like there's many sub-genres of dancehall, just like you have like Afro pop and Afro swing.
Right.
You haven't really got that within dancehall. It is either dancehall or it's just not dancehall. But I do feel like with regards to the sound of dancehall, it's changed because it's become a lot more computerized. You can just hear like a computer sound, and that's fantastic because producers and engineers, they've just got access to a lot more equipment and a lot more sound to make it sound a lot more modern. Whereas you'd kind of have live instruments and stuff back in the day, and that's pretty much with every genre. But I don't really feel like there's sub-genres of dancehall as there is labeled with Afrobeat.
So would you say that, okay, so each artist has got their own unique style and that's what it is, rather than a sub-genre that's being created?
Definitely, because that's the reason why you'll have like 10 or 15 artists on one rhythm, because you have 10 or 15 artists on one rhythm and they all have their own unique sound. So that means that their flow is unique. How they deliver is unique, their output is unique. So they make the track theirs, even though it's the same production, but they make that track theirs. So I'll listen to a Movado track on the same rhythm as a Sean Paul track, the same rhythm as a Vibes Cartel track, and they have their own unique sounds on each track, but it's the same rhythm.
Right. So too bad, a question for you, can you still be mainstream, but yet still be authentic?
Absolutely, yeah, I think it's possible.
How would you be able to, because when you become mainstream, you're dealing with many variables. But when you were just in your own little corner doing your thing, the variables, you're just trying to create your own music and you don't have to worry about the variables.
Yeah, that's right. And I think back in the day that was a lot harder. I think back in the day there was like a line where you're either here or you're here. But now I think the world has opened up more. The world wants to hear the dancehall at its core, at how it is, at its raw. Like Cartel's songs are playing as much, streaming as much as anyone else's around the world, any genre, any artist. So I think the world has come to a place now where you want it raw, you want it authentic, you want it as it was. You don't want it washed down anymore, even though we do know for sales, you know, for an easy palette, you know, for an easy palette, we do know it does get adjusted for the market, but yeah, now I think the world want it as it is now.
Right. So Fifi, do you think you can still be mainstream and still be authentic?
Like what Too Bad is it? The world has changed thanks to technology, social media, and so you see, like the early 2000s, dancehall was heavy on radio, and obviously before Afrobeats got very popular. So now dancehall is not playing that much on radio, but because of social media, people can listen to what they want. And now the Spotify's and the iTunes, they've seen there's actual demand for it. So whether you like it or not, people are going to listen what they want. You have to give a big honourable shout out to technology, social media and that. So if it's not on radio, I don't even remember last time I watched music video on TV. You know, so
I think it's just like part of the whole commercialized thing.
Yeah, we've got access to everything right now. So you can still be very commercial and still maintain
a lot of people will say that
the only thing that you're gonna have to tweak is who you collab with. Is who you collab with.
So like an Ed, when an artist is an Afrobeats artist and you're doing an Ed Sheeran track and you're telling me you're still keep being authentic, certain people are saying to themselves, come on.
But we all know the reasons why they have to collaborate with Ed Sheeran to cross over. They might have to jump on
And it goes back to the question that can you still be mainstream to collaborate with Ed Sheeran and still be authentic?
Yes, you can. You can do the collaboration and go back and start and continue doing your
go back, not on that particular track, because that track is the one that you're going to market.
Yeah.
So if they feel like that's a bit of a poppy track, you know, that's your reputation there. They'll remember you as DJ Fifi, the one that linked up with DJ Ed Sheeran.
This is the beautiful thing about Google, social media, and technology right now. If people see Burna Boy on the same track with Ed Sheeran, okay, who's this guy? Might go research him and start listening to his other stuff, and they're like, oh, this is actually cool. We like it.
It's definitely to put an artist in a different space.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
Do you know what
to
I mean?
put them in a different space, yeah.
If an artist like Too Badder,
I think if you're credible enough, you could hold your
You
own
can still hold it,
wherever
100%.
So regardless of the sound, you can still hold your own.
I think like,
I think you can command. You can command a lot more.
An example of that, what I remember back in the day. Do you remember Bounty Killer and Gwen Stefani?
Yes,
I
of
don't
course.
remember
Right,
that.
so
I probably blocked it out.
Bounty jumped on that.
Yeah.
Back where Bounty come from, he got a whole heap of backlash from people who were saying exactly that. You've sold out, da da da. But he was strong enough in his own music and his own self to say, no, I stepped over there, I ate that pie, and I'm still good. So he
But
wasn't.
it's similar to Sean Paul. So a lot of lovers of dancehall music, they will say that Sean Paul's a sellout.
Yeah.
Why? Because Sean Paul has commercialized himself. That was his route.
Right.
That was his journey.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Where it's a more of a pop journey rather than
I
anything.
really need to kind of unpack that commercialization, but we need to take a break. So that's the end of part 3. Join us after the break, when as usual we'll be finishing up the show, looking to the future and talking about what next few decades could hold for dancehall and Afrobeats. See you in a few minutes.
New Sif Anti-Back and Shine kills 99.9% of bacteria and viruses, including coronavirus, and is made with a 100% naturally derived cleaning agent, helping to keep your home safe for the whole family. Sif, hello beautiful.
Heard about GoDaddy's online store builder? Build a website and start selling whatever you do online with GoDaddy.
Tax calculations.
A nightmare, obviously.
Obviously. In what world would she ever have to worry about her taxes?
Numbers.
It's all good. It's been taken care of.
Thanks, adorable, teeny tiny, hard-nosed QuickBooks people.
Taking care of taxes so you can sleep at night and do it QuickBooks.
With HelloFresh meal kits, you get tried and tested recipes, step-by-step instructions, and fresh quality ingredients. Perfectly proportioned for you and delivered to your door. Everything you need to cook delicious dinners. Order now at hellofresh.co.uk. Dinner solved.
All right, I want to address the elephant in the room. No, not you, Lola. The tea. We're all switching to PG tips now. These tea bags are biodegradable, while some still use plastic. I would be speechless too.
Hello and welcome back to Your Voice, where today we've been talking about the stratospheric rise in the popularity of Afrobeats and dancehall music around the world. In this final part, let's ask not only what the future could hold for both genres, but where we hope it won't go. As the mainstream music masses descend on the genre, is there hope for any retention of authenticity? Well, please welcome back one last time, Too Badder, Mr. Hooley, and DJ Fifi. Right, so before the break, we were talking about authenticity.
Authenticity.
You know, and we're talking whilst we're on the break, we're also talking about, you know, an artist wanting to kind of also evolve. Because even as an artist, you're constantly evolving. Even as the sound is evolving, you're also evolving.
Yeah.
So in terms of the future, when you want to kind of evolve and also become mainstream, can you kind of keep authenticity? Because people will love you at different stages of your career.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
What's your take on that?
So I think it's possible to keep your authenticity when you cross over, but it's a very fine line. And I think it's based on like what's your aim as an artist?
Right.
So like for me now, my aim as an artist isn't to make the most money and have the #1 song, and that's not my aim as an artist. My aim as an artist is kind of to communicate with a certain genre of people. So as long as I'm doing that, I'm meeting my goal. So there's going to be other people who's going to have another goal. So for them, dropping some of the authenticity might be a worthwhile step to achieve your goal. So I think based on what your goal is, and if you're true to yourself, yeah, you can. I could jump on a pop song, and nobody can't tell me nothing, because I'm still gonna be too bad on the pop song.
Right.
As long as the track bangs and it's nice. But if I jumped on the pop song, and now because I'm on that pop song, now I'm doing all some kind of funny singing with the auto-tune and wearing all some shell tracksuits and stuff. If I change because of the job, then that's completely different. But so yeah, it's a fine line.
Yeah, yeah. So I think there's a picture of Beyonce and Shatta Wale, and they did a track and on Beyonce's album. So in your view, Fifi, is he now, because Beyonce is considered mainstream, I think, is Shatta Wale being authentic to his sound? Or what's your take on that?
I mean, no one can question Shatta really, because
Right.
before, I mean, anyone that heard that track could still identify Shatta from what he was doing before he jumped on that track. It was
Right.
similar to what, if anything, it was Beyonce that came to his sound.
Right.
So,
and a lot of that will be happening, wouldn't it?
Right.
100%.
Identity,
100%.
you hit it on the head. Identity,
So people
yeah.
could still identify. He didn't have to change his voice. He didn't have to do anything. It was
He
still
had
the
to
whole
sing.
flow. Pat was singing. Shatta, you know, the whole voice, deep voice. So yeah, he's not, and he's still #1
Yeah.
in Ghana right now.
Right.
Nothing has changed.
Right. So DJ Hooley, Mr. Hooley, sorry, the future, with how much technology is going to change the way we kind of consume music? Because I don't know about you, as a DJ, there's a lot of turnover when it comes churn in terms of music. How much will technology play in the future of both the dancehall genres as well as Afrobeats?
I feel like it will play a massive part. I feel like it's just going to keep evolving. Technology is going to keep evolving. I mean, we've got outlets like Spotify and Amazon and whatever it is, whatever digital streaming platform that people use, but there always just seems to be a way to consume music. And if there's always going to be a way to consume music, or a new way or an easier way, I just feel like it's just going to keep evolving. It's going to keep evolving, the artistry, the productions. People are always going to be trying to elevate themselves, you know what I mean? So I feel like it's just going to definitely keep growing.
Right, okay. So, I mean, in terms of, you know, how you obviously consume, because now, compared to many years ago, I don't know if you guys notice, or maybe it's just me, the rate at which music is released, you know, an artist can release 2 tracks in a month. And now it's like you have to keep up. It's like you're constant. Is that where we're going? And how? Because I find some of this music very disposable. I don't know what your thoughts are.
I feel like, especially within dancehall music, with dancehall artists, they're known for making a lot of music within a short space of time. I mean, that has a negative impact, because how long kind of does your track have life for? How long does your song have life for? If I make a song today, I mean, there's dancehall artists who's making a song on Monday and then another song on Wednesday, and it's being released, and then Friday there's another song that's dropped. And then obviously by the Friday song's dropped, the Monday song, is that still as relevant because there's a new track out? I don't know how it is within Afrobeats. And if there is that sort of consistency, but I know, I mean, like, even let's just say Cartel, for years he's been literally releasing a tune a day sometimes. Wow. So you know what I mean.
Wow. So in terms of in the world of Afrobeats, Amapiano seems to be that way forward. You know, that's the latest craze in the world of Afrobeats now. So would you now, as an artist who does Afrobeats as well as Amapiano, is that kind of immersing yourself, or are you kind of becoming an Amapiano artist, so to speak? Or how do you kind of define when you jump on different sounds?
I think with some artists, they have to move with what's hot,
right,
to remain relevant.
Right.
So, but if you believe in your sound and in how authentic you are, you will not have to be jumping on Amapiano tracks. You can be like a fan of it,
So this is some of the Amapiano artists. As much as I love this sound, it's so hard to recognize the artist because
I know that's Dali Wonka.
Because there's a lot. It's very DJ driven. Amapiano, very DJ driven. A bit like dancehall, right? Dancehall is very DJ driven, but Afrobeats is not so much driven by the DJs, so to speak.
No,
so what do you think?
With the whole Amapiano sound, there's more singers, and there's DJs collaborating with the singers, and that. So yeah, that's majorly. Yeah, it's got a major DJs. But yeah, I feel like right now, I was in Ghana like throughout Christmas to February, and there was a lot of Nigerians that came over.
Right. Okay.
And there was a girl in particular. She was like, "Wow, it feels good hearing Afrobeats again," because in Nigeria, 89% of the clubs are playing Amapiano tracks.
Right.
So it was a bit of a breath of fresh air hearing more Afrobeats than Amapiano. So in terms of, I don't think artists necessarily have to jump on Amapiano. If you're very authentic and believe in your sound, you can still maintain your sound and be a fan of it, or just jump on it and then still go back onto your lane. But certain artists might just blow off an Amapiano tune
and just stay in that lane.
And then stay in that lane and then might not go back.
Blows off, sort of thing. Yeah. So too bad, lyrics, words. You're an artist who's very, very conscious about the lyrics you put out there. Yeah. And you're very positive and you very kind of give people. I mean, I listen to some of your words and I just get goosebumps. You know what I mean? How important is lyrics as being an artist? Because because the music is so disposable, sometimes the lyrical content is not even being considered.
Yeah.
But how important for us to kind of stay here or as an artist for the long run? How important is lyrics?
See, I think it's like extremely important. It's of utmost importance. Even though the lyrics can get overlooked for a vibe. Once you get a vibe on a song, a lot of people not even singing much of the song, not even know much of the words.
Because let's be honest, dancehall is very, there's a lot of profanity there.
There's a lot of profanity. So
well, the new stuff anyway.
So what I always say, I'd say like, there's different, how can I say, there's different entry levels of the music. So if you're a group of guys on the street talking amongst yourself, you're going to talk in a certain language.
Right.
If the music is from this same place, the music's going to contain the same language as the people who live it and speak it. If you ain't from that world and you're listening to that music, you kind of not in the position to comment on the language from that music.
Right.
If you're not from that world.
Right.
You're just getting privy to, you're getting a peek in the door to that world. So I'm not so quick to put down people's profanity.
Sure.
But at the same time, it's a double-edged sword. At the same time, with great power comes great responsibility.
Absolutely.
If you have got a big platform and you are speaking to hundreds of thousands, millions of people, then you have a responsibility to not encourage people to do certain things and not say certain things that could be offensive or lead to things. So it's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword. Yeah. Music's very wide, so you can't use one thing to govern all of it.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. And sometimes it's not it's not so much the profanity as such. Sometimes it's the misogyny that comes with it.
Yeah.
And that's why, like you rightly pointed out, the responsibility. Where does your responsibility as an artist start and stop?
That's it.
You know what I mean? Because you're trying to create a vibe, and regardless of whatever it is, it's going to take a vibe. But you also need to kind of recognize the sort of people you're influencing.
Yes.
Because
100%.
as an artist, you're influencing people all over the place, whether it's through your dress sense or through your lyrics or through your sound. So I don't know, where do you kind of draw the line in terms of responsibility as an artist?
I think it's a maturity thing. I think it's a maturity. You reach a certain level, there'll be a time when you're a young you and you might not be aware of the profanity that's coming out in the people around you. But there'll be a time when you'll get to an age where you won't swear in front of kids. So I think it's part of maturity and you yourself as a person.
Good. Yeah. So I'm going to ask a quick question because we've only got like 2 seconds left now. So if dancehall and Afrobeats were to have a sound clash, who do you think will come out winners?
Come on, man.
Go on, quickly.
Come on, man. That's the bashment thing, man.
Bashment thing.
The last time that happened, Afrobeat took the crown.
Okay. Mr. Hooley.
Definitely dancehall all day.
And I have to agree.
What crown was that?
Signal. Vibes Cartel versus Wizkid.
I have to agree with you. It's Afrobeats all the way. That's all we have time for on this edition of Your Voice. I'd like to thank my studio guests, Tubada, Mr. Hooley, and DJ Fifi. And thank you for watching. We'll be back next week, same time, same place, only on Yanga TV. Have a great Easter weekend. And until then, good night.
It seems extraordinary that there's nothing that the coronavirus doesn't touch.
All seen Black Lives Matter demonstrations.
Oppression is brought out.
It's unfortunate because I just feel like we're going down this road. We've been down this road before.
We've had